Hey everyone! If you've been watching my channel, you know I love diving into the darker, twisted worlds of Squid Game and Alice in Borderland. Not just for the intense games, but for the way these stories comment on society, human behavior, and morality. Well, today I've got something special for you. I'm going to share 5 must-watch movies that hit those same themes. Gripping games, high-stakes choices, and sharp social commentary that will make you question humanity itself. If you loved the strategy, the tension, and the moral dilemmas in Squid Game, then you absolutely cannot miss these films. So buckle up, because these movies will get under your skin and make you think long after the credits roll. We start this list with one of the best social commentary movie I have ever seen, The Platform. In a world defined by growing inequality, The Platform stands out as one of the most haunting and thought-provoking films of the 21st century. This Spanish dystopian thriller, directed by Galder Gaztelu Urrutia, uses a simple yet ingenious premise to explore the darkest sides of human nature and the social systems that shape it. Set in a vertical prison where food descends level by level, the film becomes a brutal allegory for capitalism, privilege, and moral decay. Equal parts horror, satire, and social commentary. The Platform is not just a film to watch, it is one to experience, reflect on, and discuss. The setting itself is deceptively simple. A massive vertical tower with hundreds of floors, each housing 2 inmates. Every day, a platform filled with a lavish feast starts from the top and gradually moves downward. Those on the upper levels feast greedily, while those below are left to survive on scraps, or nothing at all. Prisoners are periodically reassigned to new levels, a cruel reminder that status and privilege in this system are purely random. This descent of food becomes a metaphor for social hierarchy, representing how resources in our own world are distributed unevenly, and how the powerful consume far more than they need while others starve. Through this structure, The Platform delivers a scathing critique of capitalism and class inequality. The film's confined, mechanical world mirrors the real-world systems that perpetuate greed and inequality. The behavior of the prisoners reflects human nature under pressure. Selfishness, fear, and violence often triumph over compassion and solidarity. Yet, amid this bleakness, there are flickers of hope and moral questioning. The protagonist, Goreng, begins as an idealist who believes in fairness and order, but as he experiences both privilege and deprivation, he struggles to maintain his humanity. His journey becomes a reflection of our collective moral dilemma. Can decency survive in a system designed to corrupt? One of the film's greatest strengths lies in its refusal to offer easy answers. It presents moral ambiguity rather than moral clarity. The characters are neither heroes nor villains. Their behavior changes depending on circumstance. The randomness of level assignments reinforces how power can transform even the most well-intentioned people. Those who suffer one month may become oppressors the next. This shifting perspective forces viewers to question their own moral compass and consider how environment shapes behavior. Despite its grim subject matter, The Platform is also remarkably engaging. Its pacing is tight, its tone darkly humorous at times, and its visuals both striking and claustrophobic. The limited set design, one concrete room repeated infinitely, enhances the feeling of entrapment, while the grotesque imagery of the descending feast turns abundance into something revolting. The performances are outstanding, grounding the surreal premise in real emotional intensity. And the ending, rather than providing closure, poses a question, inviting viewers to interpret its meaning and confront their own beliefs about justice, hope, and humanity. Ultimately, The Platform is more than just a horror or sci-fi film. It is a mirror held up to society. It exposes the ugliness of inequality and the moral compromises that sustain it. Watching it is uncomfortable, sometimes even disturbing, but that discomfort is precisely what makes it powerful. In an age where excess and deprivation coexist side by side, The Platform challenges us to rethink how we live, consume, and treat one another. It's a film that lingers long after the credits roll, a chilling reminder that the real horror may not be the system itself, but how easily we adapt to it. We continue with one of my favorite movie, The Cube. In an era dominated by high-budget, effects-heavy blockbusters, Cube, 1997, directed by Vincenzo Natali, stands as a testament to how creativity, psychological tension, and strong ideas can achieve far more than spectacle. This Canadian science fiction thriller takes place almost entirely inside a single, cube-shaped room. Its minimalist design and limited resources only heighten the terror, mystery, and philosophical depth of the story. What begins as a survival puzzle soon transforms into a chilling examination of human nature, social systems, and existential dread. Cube is not merely a horror film, it's a psychological and philosophical experiment that asks what happens when people are trapped inside a system they cannot understand or control. The film's premise is as simple as it is ingenious. A group of strangers awakens inside a massive structure made up of countless cube-shaped rooms, each connected by hatches on all sides. Some rooms are safe, while others contain deadly traps that can kill instantly. None of the characters know why they are there, who built the cube, or how to escape. Each person represents a different walk of life. A cop, a mathematician, a doctor, an engineer, a thief, and a man with developmental challenges. Together, they must work to survive, relying on logic, trust, and cooperation in an environment designed to destroy both body and mind. The cube's sterile design and repetitive structure reflect the mechanical coldness of the system that controls them, turning the film into a chilling allegory for modern institutions and faceless bureaucracy. At its core, Cube is a study of human behavior under extreme circumstances. Stripped of context and authority, the characters' moral codes begin to fracture. What starts as teamwork quickly devolves into paranoia, selfishness, and violence. The power dynamics within the group shift constantly, mirroring the real-world tendency for authority and dominance to emerge in moments of crisis. Quentin, the police officer, begins as a natural leader but gradually transforms into a tyrant, while others, like the mathematician Levin, evolve from fear to resilience. This moral and psychological unraveling gives Cube its disturbing realism. It's less about the traps in the rooms and more about the traps within the human psyche. Beyond survival, Cube explores the absurdity of existence. The characters' struggle to find meaning in their imprisonment echoes the existential philosophies of thinkers like Albert Camus and Jean-Paul Sartre. The cube itself could be seen as a metaphor for life, arbitrary, senseless, and indifferent to those inside it. No one knows who created it or why. It simply exists. The absence of a clear explanation is not a flaw, but rather the film's most powerful statement. It reminds us that we, too, live within systems we rarely understand, whether political, social, or technological, and we must navigate them with limited knowledge and fragile cooperation. The film's minimalist production design adds to its philosophical impact. Despite using only one physical set, altered by lighting and color, to simulate hundreds of rooms, Cube feels vast and infinite. The repetition of identical rooms symbolizes the monotony of institutional systems, where individuality and freedom are stripped away. The sound design, metallic echoes, mechanical hums, and tense silences intensifies the claustrophobia. Together, these elements create an atmosphere of relentless unease that makes the viewer feel as trapped as the characters. Perhaps what makes Cube most haunting is its refusal to give closure. There is no clear villain, no revelation, and no neat resolution. The film ends ambiguously, leaving the audience to question the meaning of escape, the role of logic versus morality, and whether freedom is ever truly possible. In doing so, Cube transcends its genre, becoming not just a science fiction thriller, but a profound commentary on the human condition. Ultimately, Cube endures because it speaks to universal fears: entrapment, powerlessness, and the breakdown of trust. It's a film that engages both the mind and the nerves, using suspense as a vehicle for deeper reflection. Moving on, we have the movie Circle. In a world where moral choices are often theoretical, Circle turns them into a matter of life and death. Directed by Aaron Han and Mario Missione, this minimalist psychological thriller traps 50 strangers in a dark, circular chamber and forces them to vote, every 2 minutes, on who among them will die next. What unfolds is a disturbing yet captivating allegory about human nature. prejudice, and the fragile structure of morality when survival is on the line. With its simple premise and tight execution, Circle delivers one of the most thought-provoking examinations of group behavior ever put to screen. From its opening moments, Circle wastes no time establishing its rules. Each person stands on a small red circle. Stepping off it or attempting to interfere results in instant death. At regular intervals, a pulse of energy kills one of the participants. Soon, they realize that their fates are not random. They are voting, collectively deciding who dies next. No one knows how they got there or who controls the chamber, but one fact becomes clear. They must keep choosing until only one person remains alive. In this stark environment, the film strips humanity down to its rawest instincts, turning survival into a social experiment. What makes Circle so compelling is how it exposes the mechanics of judgment and prejudice. As fear spreads, alliances form and dissolve within minutes. Debates erupt over who deserves to live, the young or the old, the strong or the weak, the parents or the childless, the rich or the poor. Beneath the surface of reasoned arguments, familiar biases emerge: racism, sexism, ageism, homophobia, and nationalism. The group's discussions become a chilling mirror of real-world hierarchies, showing how quickly moral reasoning can collapse into justification for cruelty when survival depends on it. The film's circular layout becomes a metaphor for society itself, everyone looking inward, searching for someone else to blame. The confined setting intensifies the tension. With no backstory, no escape, and no external world to distract, Circle functions like a psychological pressure cooker. Each conversation feels like a negotiation between ethics and self-preservation. The pacing, dictated by the unrelenting 2-minute countdown, keeps the audience in a state of constant anxiety. Yet, despite its repetition, the film never grows dull. The dynamics shift with each elimination, revealing new layers of fear to manipulation and conscience. Every death feels like a statement about how people rationalize violence when it's hidden behind collective decision-making. Beyond its surface-level suspense, Circle raises deeper philosophical questions about democracy and morality. The voting system, meant to be fair and equal, becomes corrupted by persuasion, coercion, and mob mentality. The group's attempts at fairness inevitably fail, because fairness itself is subjective when every choice means someone must die. By the end, the film exposes the illusion of moral purity. Even those who appear righteous make compromises to survive. Its final twist reinforces this idea, leaving viewers to question whether humanity's instinct for self-preservation can ever coexist with compassion. The fourth spot is occupied by The Exam. In a world obsessed with competition, success, and corporate ambition, Exam 2009, directed by Stuart Hazeldine, delivers a brilliantly tense and claustrophobic examination of human behavior under pressure. The film takes place entirely within a single room, yet it manages to capture the complexity of morality, intelligence, and desperation when personal ambition collides with ethical boundaries. What begins as a mysterious job interview soon unfolds into a psychological experiment that exposes the darker side of human nature. Exam is not merely a thriller about finding an answer. It is a meditation on how we respond to authority, uncertainty, and the unspoken rules that govern society. The premise is deceptively simple. 8 candidates are selected for the final stage of a highly competitive job selection process at a powerful and secretive company. They are led into a stark, windowless room, seated at identical desks, and given one sheet of paper each. The invigilator explains a set of strict rules. They have 80 minutes to answer a single question. They may not spoil their paper, leave the room, or communicate with the guard or the invigilator. The exam begins, and they soon realize that the question itself is nowhere to be found. From that moment on, the real test begins, not of knowledge, but of interpretation, logic, and character. As the timer counts down, confusion turns to conflict. The group tries to deduce what the question might be and whether it even exists. Cooperation gives way to rivalry, suspicion, and manipulation. Candidates form alliances, betray each other, and test the limits of the rules in their quest to find the right answer. The room becomes a pressure cooker where intellect and morality collide. The brilliance of Exam lies in how it transforms a simple scenario into a psychological battlefield, forcing its characters and the audience to confront what ambition can make people do. The film also explores the relationship between power and obedience. The Invigilator's vague instructions serve as both a test and a trap. The rules are open to interpretation, and every candidate's downfall stems from how they choose to interpret them. This ambiguity mirrors the moral uncertainty of real life, where success often depends not on intelligence alone, but on understanding the unspoken systems that control us. In this sense, Exam resembles other psychological thrillers like Cube and The Platform, where confinement reveals the truth about social structures. Yet, unlike those films, Exam places its horror not in physical danger, but in ethical compromise. By the time Exam reaches its conclusion, it delivers not just a clever twist, but a moral one. The true question is hidden in plain sight, and the solution rewards not intelligence or ruthlessness, but empathy and attention to detail. The ending redefines everything that came before it, revealing that the test was not about skill or logic at all. It was about character. In that moment, the film's message crystallizes. In a world obsessed with winning, the most important quality may be the ability to listen, to care, and to see beyond oneself. We end this list with the classic movie 12 Angry Men, even if it didn't really fit into the same category as the other 4 presented in this video. I still think this video is a must-watch, because few films capture the power of reason, morality, and human empathy as masterfully as 12 Angry Men. Directed by Sidney Lumet and written by Reginald Rose, this courtroom drama unfolds almost entirely within a single room, yet it builds more tension, emotion, and intellectual weight than most thrillers. It is a study of conscience and courage, exploring how personal bias, social pressure, and compassion collide when 12 jurors must decide the fate of a young man accused of murder. Beneath its straightforward premise lies a timeless lesson about justice, humanity, and the responsibility that comes with having power over another's life. The story begins in a sweltering jury room where 12 men gather to deliberate after a murder trial. The defendant, a teenage boy from a poor neighborhood, is accused of killing his father. At first glance, the case seems clear-cut. All evidence appears to point toward guilt. When the jurors take an initial vote, 11 vote guilty, and only one, juror number 8, played by Henry Fonda, votes not guilty. His vote isn't a declaration of the boy's innocence, but rather a refusal to condemn someone without discussing the case further. What follows is a slow unraveling of certainty, as juror number 8 forces the others to re-examine their assumptions, memories, and prejudices. The brilliance of 12 Angry Men lies in its simplicity. With a single location, minimal action, and a small cast, Lumet relies entirely on dialogue, performance, and atmosphere. The confined setting mirrors the pressure cooker intensity of moral decision-making. As tempers flare and personalities clash, each juror's reasoning reveals more about his character than about the case itself. The jurors bring their backgrounds, biases, and frustrations into the room, some driven by reason, others by anger, indifference, or prejudice. What begins as a legal debate becomes an emotional dissection of human nature. The film's themes remain profoundly relevant. 12 Angry Men isn't just about one trial. It's about how people think, argue, and arrive at truth. It exposes the dangers of conformity, showing how easily individuals surrender to the majority to avoid conflict. It highlights how prejudice clouds judgment, with several jurors basing their opinions on class and ethnicity rather than evidence. Yet it also celebrates the power of empathy and rational discourse. Juror number 8's calm insistence on fairness serves as a moral compass, reminding viewers that justice depends on patience, compassion, and the courage to stand alone when necessary. Cinematically, Lumet reinforces the film's emotional intensity through subtle technique. As the deliberation progresses, the camera gradually shifts from wide shots to tighter close-ups, making the room seem smaller and more suffocating. The lighting grows darker, the tension more palpable, mirroring the jurors' psychological confinement. This slow visual tightening reflects how reason and emotion close in on one another until truth finally emerges. In the end, 12 Angry Men is not a film about guilt or innocence. It's about the process of human reasoning itself. It's a reminder that truth is rarely simple, that justice requires effort, and that real change often begins with one person daring to question the consensus. Decades after its release, the film remains as gripping and relevant as ever, not just for its dramatic power, but for its moral clarity. 12 Angry Men shows that integrity, empathy, and open-mindedness are not just virtues. They are the foundations of civilization itself. And there you have it, 5 incredible movies that take the social commentary and high-stakes tension you loved in Squid Game and Alice in Borderland to the next level. Each one is intense, thought-provoking, and full of moral dilemmas that will have you questioning what you would do in those situations. If you end up watching any of these, let me know in the comments which one blew your mind the most. And if you want more content like this, deep dives, theories, and recommendations inspired by the games and worlds you love, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coming that you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the real game isn't just survival, it's understanding the people around you